Hey guys, welcome back. I'm glad you guys came back to my channel and let's get started.
And always, guys, do your own research.
So don't take anything I say as fact.
Like and subscribe.
But let's go ahead and get started with Helena Blavatsky. Who is she? She's the co-founder of the Theosophical Society. She's a Russian mystic. She was born into the Russian Empire. She was in an aristocratic family. She believed that she was in communication with the divine ancient wisdom on Lemuria, inhabited with giants. She wanted to revive this ancient wisdom into the world. One religion.
In 1888, Helena Blavatsky, a Russian-American author, released a book called The Secret Doctrine, which questioned whether or not Lemuria was actually the birthplace of all humanity rather than Africa, and she put forth the idea that all major religions are united by an ancient wisdom that stemmed from an original root race in a sequence of 7 root races that define the various and concrete stages of human development.
AKA Mu, M-U.
The first one, she believed that there was invisible astro jellyfish. Interesting. The second was the Hyborians. Now, the Hyborians didn't have any bodies, and they were located over in the North Pole area. The third were the Lemurians. The fourth race was the Atlanteans, which are also believed to be the heroes, if you would, like Hercules. And we also found the Emerald Tablets, which is proof that Atlantis existed. It's thought to have been written by Thoth. And it had a lot to do with the Hermetic society and religion in general. Lots of people still refer to it as far as anybody that does alchemy, magic, philosophy, all of that kind of stuff. And then the fifth and sixth root race are yet to come, which is kind of weird because, I don't know, it's just weird. How long do we have to wait for them to come? Don't know. So the Lemurians were believed to be highly advanced. They were telepathic.
They say the third root race could lay eggs.
4 arms and eyes, and were egg-laying hermaphrodites.
They were known
Curiously,
to be giants,
this description
and they could
is
see from the back of their heads, and they had 4 arms.
Was of a yellowish-brown color. He had a strangely flattened face, eyes small but piercing, and set curiously far apart, so that he could see sideways as well as in front. The head sloped backwards and upwards in a rather curious way. The arms and legs, especially the former, were longer in proportion.
It was destroyed by fire and volcanoes and, I guess, ultimately the Ice Age. So a part of it did resurface, and when the part that resurfaced was in the shape of a horseshoe. The part that resurfaced ended up being the start of Atlantis, or what we believe to be the start of Atlantis. Now, the part that did resurface, we were able to get all of these artifacts and all of. So what happened to everybody after it sunk, right? Well, supposedly they went into either Mount Shasta or they went in underneath LA.
Lemuria was destroyed 11,500 years ago in a global disaster. And evidence of a global cataclysm can be found all over the earth, from the pyramids of Giza, across Africa, and even on Easter Island. Now, of course, I'm referring to the Great Flood.
Hunted underneath Los Angeles, California.
Shut up.
Interesting. This man named G. Warren Schufelt, and he had developed this X-ray penetrating technology to where he could scan different rocks and stuff. He was in LA on this hill called Fort Moore Hill, and he drilled like 200 something feet down, stuck it down, and he's like, what the heck? There's tunnels and really big rooms and a lot of gold. He's like, what the heck is this? He was telling someone about it, and like, you just discovered is one of 3 lost cities along the Pacific coast. There was this people group called the Lizard People. They were called the Lizard People because their idol was a lizard. This Hopi was like, this was a civilization. He said they were so far advanced technology-wise. Lizard People's city being amongst these certain hills that exactly line up to where this guy found the thing.
House from 1928. Miners find great toe bone of giant in, I think that's Lewiston or Silverton, Idaho.
Ancient Egypt believed in multiple gods.
Osiris was the first god of Egypt. He was known as the first pharaoh. He was married to his sister Isis. they had a brother named Set. And Set was extremely jealous of his brother, Osiris. He was married to Nephthys. Osiris would go out along the Nile, and he would, go talking about how he was God and given his... But he was tricked by his sister-in-law, Nephthys, who ended up sleeping with him by pretending to be Isis, which in fact she got pregnant with a son, and that son was Anubis. I'm sure you've heard of Anubis. So once he came back, his brother Set, who was furious to find out this information, had thrown a party and welcomed him back. So when he comes to the party with 72 different friends, he had created a box. Set created a box, and he said whoever fits in this box perfectly with all the dimensions can have this box. It's my gift to them. So one by one, everyone tried to lay into it, and it didn't fit them, or they were too big, or so forth, until they got to Osiris. Osiris fit perfectly into this box, and then as soon as he lay down in the box, him and his friends closed it and sealed it shut and threw him into the Nile. Isis went looking for him. Ultimately, she came back with his body, and Set, who was furious about this, chopped up his body into 14 pieces and again threw him into the Nile, except for the one piece, which was his member, ultimately how he produced any more offspring, fed him to a fish, or fed that part to a fish. So then yet again, Isis went and recovered all of the pieces of her lover, and except, unfortunately, could not find the member because he was fed to the fish. So with black magic, she created and this would be known as the first unification spell, okay? And she created a offspring through magic, and that would be Horus. And that was the first time this spell has ever been done.
What does all of this have to do with reptilians? Well, I just want you to know where the history comes from with Lemuria and all of the reptiles and the lizard people and all of that. Okay, so it is throughout, I guess, everywhere. So you got, from Indians over to actual, there's just so much documentation of so many different accounts of there being these reptile people who existed. All right. Which is why we get to the reptilians. Now, reptilians ultimately shapeshift, and they shapeshift by using their mind control, if you would, and that's because...
Lieutenant Colonel Robert McGinnis from the Pentagon, he came on record and he talked to us about this for the film. He points to the fact that the founding fathers were deep state, which we would call shadow government. Back to Washington. Washington was definitely a Freemason. Matter of fact, they cast sprigs of acacia at his Masonic funeral to signify him going on to the land of Osiris in the underworld. Now, they believed Osiris was already in the underworld, and they believed that Washington was the America's first Osiris. This is that he was literally being set up in a system that was a religious system that was set up to bring about the spirit of Osiris, a resurrected spirit, a reincarnated spirit, if you will, of Osiris, to possess the ruler of this nation. That we would call Apollo, others call Osiris. So there's a connection there. Apollo and Osiris are the same entity. Power and the atmospheric shifts that are taking place through these rituals that are changing the course of the direction of America.